alaikum. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mohammed Slaydir. I'm Head of Facilities Engineer with South Award team in SAT. I'd like to share a story with you about something I enjoy doing in my free time. I will tell you about archery. Now, if you're not familiar with the term, archery is the sport of using a bow to shoot arrows. Historically, archery was used for hunting and combat, and in modern days it has transformed into a competitive sport and recreational hunting. I'm sure we've all seen some sort of archery in a movie or a TV show, and in my mind at least, it was always associated with historical events and stories. That until August 2009, 1 week before I started school at Pennsylvania State University. I was watching TV in my hotel room when I stumbled upon the Outdoor Channel, and that night they were airing a show about bow hunting. Until that moment, I didn't know that this thing existed in our time. I was amazed by what I saw, and all I could think about is, how did I not know about this? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So usually me, I start researching the subject and how I could get into it. But for a 19-year-old student who just landed in the US, it seemed too complicated. With all the permits, not having someone to guide me through it, I kind of gave up. Not for long though. As luck would have it, Penn State had an archery class, so I said to myself, let me register the class. Easy, right? Nope. I was a freshman. The class was full before I could even register in the class. But I didn't give up. 2 years later, I was able to get in and start my journey in archery. The class was a lot of fun. I learned how to handle the bow, how to shoot correctly, and I got so obsessed with this hobby that I went and got my own equipment, a new bow, a set of arrows, the whole deal. This lasted for about 2 years, until I graduated school and came back to Saudi Arabia. Luckily, I shipped all my stuff with me and stayed in storage until March 2022. That's when I learned about the Saudi Archery Federation. I contacted them to join, and I picked on my hobby again after almost 10 years. The atmosphere was friendly yet competitive, so it was the perfect getaway from all the stresses of life and work. The beautiful thing about archery is that it's peaceful and quiet. That's what it's supposed to be anyway. When you are at full draw, aiming at that target, everything seems to stop for a moment. And it's just you and your thoughts. You need to summon all your concentration to execute the perfect shot. And when that arrow leaves your bow, it's all over in a split second. This all sounds good, right? Well, your brain doesn't think so. You see, after a while, your brain develops a program, a motor program that protects you. Your brain thinks that this whole process is dangerous. It simulates an explosion or an impact. So what does your brain do? It braces for impact. Unconsciously, it sends signals to the whole body to tense up, just as you're executing that shot. This is the brain's way of avoiding the explosion, and it manifests itself in different ways. Your bow arm dropping, your eyes closing, or even rushing through the process of shooting as soon as you see the target. We all have something called visual proprioception. What is it? It's basically a neuromechanical system that sends signals to proprioceptors and the muscles, tendons, and joints to move them unconsciously. So the motor program that your brain developed to protect you utilizes this system to move you out of dangerous way. And the program keeps getting better and better, and you become more successful. Once you decide to shoot, the program kicks in and you miss your target. So what do? How do you overcome your inner obstacle to achieve success? And the answer to that, and this applies to many things in life and work, is to take control over the process with your conscious mind, and not let your brain defaults to what it thinks might be the safe option. We are all faced with challenges on a daily basis, and it's our duty to take on these challenges with focus and mindfulness. And the key to that is to identify the trigger to to what makes our conscious brain wants to shut down and defaults to its pre-existing programs. Now in the case of archery, the trigger is a visual one, which is seeing the target, the spot we want to hit. And our visual proprioception then sends a signal to take over the process. So now we know what triggers the problem, we can put measures in place to overcome it. What are these measures? Patience and verbal communication. Once you acquire the target, you wait and communicate the shot process to yourself. By slowing down this process, you maintain full control over it and hopefully hit the headwind. Now I don't want to bore you with going deeper and deeper into technical stuff. What I would like you to take from this story is that when we are faced with our daily struggles, we need to step up and face them. Take control. Identify what makes us run away from these struggles, what makes us take hasty decisions, and then develop a system that helps us break down the problem and deal with it in a systematic